Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Sports Card Show. I'm back at it again with another video, and today I want to talk about is the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle SGC 9.5 that just sold for $12.5 million more or less valuable than a PSA 10. I think this is a really big deal as far as it comes to which grading company holds the most value. As far as I'm concerned, I would always have a vintage card in SGC slab over a PSA slab, just I think from a visual perspective. There are only three PSA 10 1952 Mickey Mantles in existence, um, and the label on the SGC 9.5 that just sold was labeled as the finest known example. And there's a video here from, sorry, that is not the right one, from Breakout Cards where he was at the National actually, and he compared a PSA 10 mantle that was there to the SGC 9.5, and from his perspective, the SGC 9.5 actually looked better than the PSA 10, which I thought was a really interesting perspective because I heard from a couple other guys, like Sports Card Investor, when he was talking to people, they were valuing the card at $30 million, $35 million. Now, if the 9.5 in SGC slab just sold for 12.5 million and it looks better than the PSA 10, what does that value those cards that people were saying are worth $30 million? In my opinion, I would actually say that they're worth less than the 9.5 because if they're claiming that that 9.5 from SGC is the finest known example, I think you have to treat it as the finest known example. That's the best Mickey Mantle you can buy. Now, obviously, you could look at the other two mantles. We can only see the one that you compare. There's two other PSA 10 ones, so it'd be interesting to take a look at those. But from my perspective, I think that I would rather have the SGC 9.5. I think that just from what I've seen, it looks like a better example. So that kind of is an interesting perspective because a lot of people would say they'd rather have the PSA 10 just from the numerical and the grading company perspective. But I think that the SGC 9.5 really kind of sets into place where the market is. And it's kind of interesting because I just saw this video here you can see from the Sports Card Investor. He posted this 5 hours ago. He just invested another $500,000 into cars, and during the video he explains he thinks that the market is really, really low still compared to its high last summer, which is true, and he thinks we're due for a big rebound, which I think is an interesting perspective. I would really hope to see that, but I think that is kind of a good point as far as this Mickey Mantle goes. And obviously there's different markets with vintage and modern, but I think if the PSA 10 of the Mickey Mantle was, supposedly worth $30 million, and then, a better example sells for 12 and a half, like that's obviously a ton of money, right? Like there's only a couple people that are going to spend that much money on a card. So really the market for that can fluctuate a lot. Um, and the tens might never come for auction. None of the tens have ever sold before, so we don't actually have anything to compare it with. I do have, however, here on PSA, they do have the pop guide here. You can see as far as the most recent sales, as far as the 52 mantle and all the grades that PSA has. And you can see here, kind of relatively same low value. I mean, high value obviously, but up to a 5, now I'm breaking $100,000. Then when you get to a 6, you get almost double what a 5 last sale does according to them. And the difference between a 6 and a 7 is actually pretty close. And then to a 7.5, about $100,000 difference. And then there's a huge gap from a 7.5 to an 8. So if you're looking from just a 7 to an 8, if you look from a 6 to a 7, you got $34,000 gap. But you have a over $1.3 million gap between a 7 and an 8. And obviously there's pop differences. And then from an 8 to a 9, you almost, let's see, almost triple that. So from that perspective, I would say the 10's probably worth about the same as the SGC 9.5. It's going to be really interesting to see if one ever comes up for auction. I would love to hear what you guys have to say on this. This is obviously just the biggest news that was on the hobby today, so that's why I wanted to cover it and just give my brief opinion on it. But, so, do you guys think? Would you rather have the SGC 9.5 mantle or the PSA 10 mantle? Personally, I'd have the SGC 9.5. I think it's probably the best example. I would love to be able to see the other PSA 10s, but I think that the SGC 9.5 is undervalued. I think that if a PSA 10 sold for more, I would still rather have the SGC 9.5. So let me know what you guys think. Also, any comments on, the Sports Card Investor, obviously a really big face in the sports card hobby, investing all this money into it and thinking the hobby is due for a big rebound, does make me kind of excited. So I just want to check in and post this quick little video. Really appreciate some support or any questions, comments down below, and any video ideas. Pretty much just going to keep doing this, covering daily sports card news. And tomorrow's gonna be Monday, and I have my Jalen Hurts cards coming in, so I'll definitely post a video on those Jalen Hurts cards. Maybe do some more explaining what I'm thinking. But yeah, as for right now, I just want to pop in and talk about the Mantle. And yeah, thanks for watching.